A voice from the baby monitor. Emily hadn't slept for 4 nights. Her baby, Noah, cried constantly, day, night, in her dreams. She sat in the kitchen every evening, staring at the baby monitor. It was an old one, given to her by their upstairs neighbor. Emily never thought much about it, but one night, through the speaker, she heard a whisper.
"He's so warm."
Emily ran to Noah's room, but he was sleeping peacefully. No one else was there. The next night, the whisper returned, quieter, closer.
"I can almost feel him."
This time, Emily found a single strand of hair on the sheet next to Noah's head. Not his, not hers. Her husband said she was just tired, but the voice kept coming. Sometimes it hummed a lullaby, the same one Emily used to sing, but sung in a raspy, wrong voice. Then one night, Emily woke to silence. The crib was empty, heart racing. She searched the apartment and found Noah in the bathroom. He was lying in the bathtub, calm, and something was leaning over him, pale, thin, almost human, stroking his cheek like a mother. It looked up at Emily and whispered,
"You asked for quiet. I can take care of him. You gave him to me."
The baby monitor light flickered, and the lullaby played again.
Tales of horror. I started seeing nightmare creatures. I got my first pair of glasses last week. My parents didn't think I needed them at first, but the doctor said that there was something wrong with more than just my eyes that was apparently pretty common, and that I needed specially prescribed glasses for my own good. He said that many people were never given the chance to see the way I would, so I was lucky to get them. I thought he meant cars, and faraway words would become less blurry, but over the span of a couple of days, many more things have become more clear. I started seeing nightmare creatures all around. I'd never seen them there before, like in the corners of my room and in darkened parking lots. I took my glasses off for the first time today, and let me just say, it's amazing how quickly demons and creatures turn into trees and shadows. I know I'm not seeing the truth, but I'm a simple person. I'd rather things remain blurry, just the way it is for everyone else.
You know what's funny? When I first got the job at the clock factory, I thought it was a dream. They told us the paint was safe, even pretty. We used these tiny brushes dipped in glowing green paint, and they said, just lick the tip to sharpen it. So I did, every day. At night, my lips would glow. I thought it was beautiful, like magic. Everyone called us the Shining Girls. We'd laugh, paint our nails with it, even draw little stars on our faces. It felt harmless. Then, I started to get sick. My teeth fell out. My jaw hurt so bad I could barely speak. The doctors had no idea why, but the factory knew. They just told us to keep working. The glow that once made me special was killing me from the inside. When I finally died, I thought it was over, but I woke up, still glowing. Only this time, it wasn't pretty. Now, I walk the empty factory halls, watching the lights flicker green when someone stays too late. If you ever hear faint laughter, or see a soft green glow in the dark, don't look for me, because once you see me, you'll never stop glowing either. At least I still shine.
The Radium Girls were women who worked in factories painting watch and clock dials with luminous, radium-infused paint in the early 20th century. They ingested deadly amounts of radium by licking their paintbrushes to create fine lines, leading to severe health problems, including radiation, poisoning, and death. When I was about 5 years old, I had this little Scrooge McDuck Explorer toy from a Happy Meal, my absolute favorite. It had a tiny pickaxe I chewed on until it looked like a stick. One day, I'm alone in my room playing. I set the toy down, and it rotates like a full 360-degree turn right in front of me. No one else there. I freeze. Then, slowly, I turn it so it's facing the wall and run out of the room. I tell my mum. She doesn't believe me at first. She's annoyed, but finally comes to toss it out. We walk back into my room, and the toy isn't facing the wall anymore. That was it for me. My mum throws it away. I've never experienced anything remotely weird in my entire life. After that, I don't really believe in any paranormal stuff, and even if I did, I have no idea what kind of an entity would choose a Happy Meal DuckTales toy to manifest through. But I still can't explain this. I swear on my life, I am not making this up. I used to work in a trailer park for my parents. Quite often, people would start using unhealthy substances, begin to fall behind on rent, and get evicted. Whenever we evicted someone, their trailer was usually too torn, too garbage to actually do anything useful with it. Essentially, to prevent having a pile-o trash trailer in the middle of the park, we'd buy it from them and just tear it down. Anyway, the scary and creepy part. Many of these occupants had children. More than half of all of the children's rooms, I found, had locks on the doors from the outside. Inside the children's rooms, it was always quite evident that the kids would sometimes be locked inside for days at a time, due to the bathroom corners that would sometimes appear. The doors on the insides of the rooms typically had scratch marks along the edge of the door and the door frame. Getting rid of all of the stuff inside before beginning demolition always frightened me. I was always afraid that I'd end up finding a tiny body somewhere among the filth. It never happened, but the odds of it potentially happening were, in my opinion, quite high.
My parents bought their first house back in 1972. It was a fixer-upper, but they decided to move in right away and fix things as time money permitted. Within a few days of moving in, the new neighbors came over to introduce themselves. They also let my parents know that the previous owners had moved out after a nasty divorce. They had lost their second baby from SIDS and their relationship went downhill from there. My parents were horrified, more so because they were newly pregnant and couldn't imagine going through such a thing. They eventually pretty much forgot all about it. Life went on. They were in love with their new life and their new house. In preparation for the baby, they decided to wallpaper the nursery. Now, my dad told my mom there was no need in wallpapering the inside of the closet, but she insisted. She was kneeling down, scraping off old paint inside of the closet when her eyes fell upon something that made her blood turn to ice. Written in crayon, at about eye level for a kindergartner, in childish scrawl was, "I killed the baby."
I was 16, had just gotten my license, when I got a late-night call from a friend. She was the kind of girl everyone liked, beautiful, popular, and way out of my league. We were close, though. She'd tell me secrets, then delete the messages because the guys she dated were controlling. That night, her voice was shaking. She whispered an address, told me to bring her clothes, then hung up. No GPS back then, so I printed directions, pushed my car out of the driveway so my parents wouldn't hear, and drove through the freezing dark. When I pulled up, she slipped out of the house as quietly as she could. She was shivering, makeup smeared from tears, hair a mess. She climbed into the car, pulled on the clothes I brought, and just said, "Take me home." I asked what happened. All she could get out was that she went to her boyfriend's birthday party and woke up with no memory in the middle of the room with all his friends and him also naked. I drove her home. We never spoke about it again. Back then, I didn't fully understand, but now, 17 years later, with a daughter of my own, I can't tell this story without breaking down. She's married, now, with kids. We don't talk anymore, but sometimes I check her Facebook, and every time I just hope she's okay.
When I was 10, my mom told me never to play in front of the hallway mirror after dark. She said mirrors remember things. I thought it was just another weird superstition until last night. I was scrolling on my phone around midnight when I caught my reflection move. I wasn't moving, but the reflection smiled. It was subtle at first, like a twitch. Then it grinned wider, showing teeth, my own face. Stretching, I turned around, nothing there, just the cold air behind me. When I looked back, the reflection was still smiling. Then it raised its hand and waved. I ran to my mom's room, shaking. She looked terrified when I told her. "Did it see you?" she asked. I nodded. She whispered, "You never look back once it notices you." We moved the next morning. But now, every time I pass a mirror in a store, in my phone camera, even in car windows, I catch a glimpse of myself smiling. Before I do,
I was playing around with a radio once when I was a kid, just slowly spanning through the static, trying to find a station. I had found an old television antenna, attached it to the side of our house, and ran a wire out my window to it with an alligator clip attached to the radio antenna, allowing me to get a way broader range of signals. So I'm sitting there, early in the morning, like 2 a.m., slowly sweeping frequencies, and suddenly I get to this station that's playing this very weird crackling sound. It sounded sort of like cracking knuckles, or maybe Rice Krispies cereal, but with a fixed rhythmic pattern instead of being random. I sat there listening to it for a second. Then it suddenly stopped, and this faint voice said,
"It doesn't work. We're already dead. We're already dead."
It took a second for the weight of the words to hit me, but when they did, I completely freaked out and almost threw the radio across the room. I'm pretty sure it was just someone messing around with a radio transmitter. But damn if it didn't scare the shit out of me at the time. Totally unexplainable and confusing to me to this day. I want to preface this by being very clear that I am not superstitious and I am not someone who is easily frightened and lets my mind play tricks on me. 15 years old, I was at my dad's house visiting him for spring break. I was sleeping in my room and woke up to a sound that I can only describe as someone exhaling very aggressively. And it started far away and got really close and loud. It's like if someone threw an invisible ball at me, and it was the sounds of someone exhaling really hard, and when it hit me it was right in my ear, very loud, and blew my hair to the side. Obviously it woke me up, and I looked across the room to see my window curtains blowing violently from the window being open. I thought to myself, oh crap, I thought I closed that. I hurried over to the window, as it was still blowing the curtains, and it was loud too. You could hear the wind whistling through the screen. Pushed the curtains aside to close it, and all of a sudden, everything went quiet and still, as I realized. The window was already closed. I sat there and stared at that window for probably 10 minutes, trying to understand what TF just happened. Then I walked back over to my bed and laid there all night, literally until the sun came up, trying to figure out what could have caused that. Never was able to come up with anything.